Hello and welcome to the second Transformational Studio Time of July 2025. Last week in our podcast, we got to meet Shelley Henk of Whole Soul Studio and learn about Artful Storywork, the main component of her beautiful School of You curriculum. And if you're interested in that, she's starting a new cohort in August, this coming month, and it's a 12-week course. And then it's got 12 months of support along with that to take you through the 3 steps of Artful Storywork: unearthing the story, cultivating the story, and creating a new story. In the podcast, Shelley introduced us to the first step of unearthing the story, of creating an art piece. It could be with a pencil and paper or adding texture to a canvas or a piece of wood. First, you want to just pause and pray and do a body scan. Just let your mind kind of go through your body and see what part of your body is drawing your attention to it. Is your heart feeling tense? Are your shoulders shrugging? Do you feel a pain in your knee or a sore toe? Or is your stomach cramping? Whatever it is, just let your body speak to you. And when you identify the one part that seems to be speaking the loudest to you, grab a color, grab an art supply, grab a texture, and begin creating something with it. One helpful question that Shelley gave us last week was, if you could examine the cells of that specific part of your body under a microscope, what might they look like? That's what you're going to try to create with your pencil and paper, or maybe even with texture, or if you want to carve into texture what those cells might look like. And remember, this is not biology class. You don't have to have it accurate biologically. You just want to get the emotion or message of what that cell might look like out on the paper or the canvas. No right or wrongs here. Just allow yourself, your heart and your mind get in tune with your body through the art process. So if you haven't done that since last week, no worries. We're going to just pause the video now and go ahead and do that. Or you can finish watching this video and then create something. Today during studio time, we're going to delve a little bit more into the spiritual component of this exercise and how we can bring God into the messages of our body and help Him reveal what's going on to bring about healing without doing any spiritual bypassing. But first, I want you to hear about how Shelley got saved in the cadaver room.
Actually, I got saved in the cadaver room as a nurse because we were dissecting cadavers, which sounds really gross, but it was.
But it's also how we learn.
It is how we learn, but I was dissecting cadavers and, looking at all of the anatomy and whatnot. And I was great at anatomy because it's all visual and drawing, and that's how my brain works. So, but I saw the cadavers and I just remember having this moment like, God made this. I had like an epiphany that there was actually a God, and God actually designed our body intricately, and there was actually no possible way that what I had been told in science class, that we came from apes or whatever, I was like, that absolutely did not happen. That's not it.
It just doesn't make any sense once you see it and all
No,
the intricacies. Like, this
like,
didn't happen by chance.
no, like, this is intelligent design. No, like, it's too intricate. There's too much going on, from the big overall, like the muscles and the tissues, whatever, all the way down to the cellular level. Like you said, the tears and just the things that happen in your body, that it's like a miracle every day. Like, you're a walking miracle. So I say I got saved in the cadaver room in anatomy class. And that was my first kind of awakening.
What I like about this first step is it's so gentle for people who are showing any resistance. It's like, you don't have to get right to the root. You just do it the first thing, like, what pops up? What color do you like?
Yeah.
What texture feels right now? And just go with it. And it
Mm-hmm.
naturally, safely, like, brings you to those next levels and the next questions and the next steps.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a very gentle process. And like with me, being a trauma survivor, thriver, actually, I don't like the word survivor, a trauma thriver. What I realized for me, I had severe trauma from a young age all the way. I mean, it just seemed like I just had one thing after another, way more than probably most people would ever experience in their lifetime. And so when I started doing this work for myself, I knew that I needed something very gentle because like that was the last thing I wanted to do was talk about or think about any of that. you know, but
Exactly.
I knew that I needed to in order to heal. And that's another big part of my work is like spiritual bypassing and disassociation and things like that. Because when a lot of the traumatic things happened to me, I was in ministry also. And I kind of got this message from the Christian community that you don't talk about bad things. Like that's not having faith. The word of faith kind of movement was kind of what I was into, and that's very much like the ideas that they have are very much like you don't what you speak is like you don't talk about bad things, you don't talk about your past or anything like that. It's all about moving forward and seeking God and having faith for the future, and if you just pray enough and have enough faith and speak enough life over yourself, then everything's gonna work out fine. And so when I was going through my traumatic things, that was the lens I was looking through. And so when things happened, I just like disassociated and spiritually bypassed right over it, thinking that I was being really faithful and strong and spiritual. And then my body told on me later.
Like, you can't carry all of that into the future with you. Like,
Right.
you can't just seal up all those bricks of trauma and,
Yeah.
like, huff them
Yeah.
forward. It's gonna slow you down.
Yeah, and I literally thought like, well, life happens. This is what happens, and if you just have enough faith, you just move on and you just cut that part off of your life and wrap it up in a little box and shove it somewhere. I don't know where I thought it went. I
It
think
went in your body.
right. It went into my cells, and because that's what happens, it gets stored in your cells. And then that becomes cancer and autoimmune conditions and obesity and all sorts of things that show up in our physical health. So that's exactly what happened to me. And I'm very, very much into helping people of faith who've maybe been encouraged to spiritually bypass or disassociate, disconnect through their faith to learn actually how to enter their stories with God at the center, because there is a way to do it with keeping your faith and staying connected to the Lord in that way. And so I kind of ended up being, I call myself like a practical theologian. Like I'm not a theologian, but I feel like I kind of had to really go into the scripture and wrestle things out really on a deep level because I was just coming up against a lot of resistance and trying to explain my work and why I was doing what I was doing and how I was doing it to the faith community because it just was so outside of their paradigm. But then showing like how no, like this is actually aligns with scripture and I believe it's actually what God's calling us to do.
Right? Like, break the captive free,
Yeah,
redeem,
yes.
and he's with us through all of that
Right.
and release us, and I think that's
Right.
2
I-
things here is, 1, to remind people that what you shared today was just the first of 3 steps.
yes. Yes.
We
That's
get in touch with it, and the art becomes this container for all it becomes safe
yeah.
because we're putting it inside some limitations so we can safely address those painful things in our body and reconnect with them and start with God learning those next steps. And the other thing is you were careful with the words of victim over victor.
Yes. Yeah. You got to watch.
Trauma, not identifying with our trauma as our identity. It's true, it happened, it was terrible, but that's not the end of the story. Do you want to say a couple words about that?
Yeah, it's not the end of a story. It's not our story. I just always say, like, beauty is our birthright and wholeness is our truth. And so the last stage of artful story work is creating a new story, right? And so I will just leave this with you is that I think we ask the wrong questions oftentimes with emotional traumatic dramas and traumas is we often ask, why did this happen to me? But what we should be asking in a much more helpful question is, what do I want to do because this happened to me? What do I want to make? What do I want to create? What wants to happen through me as a result of what happened to me? When we begin to shift that question and we begin to think about it that way, something really beautiful happens where our pain actually becomes our power.
That's amazing. Those little paradigm shifts
Mm-hmm.
are actually humongous shifts.
Huge, huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're feeling that way, it's hard to imagine that you could get there from where you're at. And I do understand that, but you have to understand there are 3 steps, right? So if you're trying to just step right to the creating process, that won't work because it won't make sense to you. And if you do, you're just spiritually bypassing or disassociating. But if you follow the 3 steps, how they're aligned, it will gently take you from where you're at to where you want to be.
Yeah. And it might be multiple times through that process, I'm assuming.
Yes, exactly. So I do private artful story work with people, which is usually a minimum of 12 sessions, and we slowly work through things. You don't want to just come in with a sledgehammer. You got to be it's a lot like art, right? Like you have to be strategic. But if you have that end vision in mind and you're working through things together and you're open, it just really beautiful things can happen. So
And that's such hope because we can feel really hopeless or blocked or overwhelmed by the process. But to know that you can get to the other side wherever you are right now. I love that you combine drama and trauma of life.
yeah, because it's like it doesn't, you do not have to have some crazy earth shattering big T trauma to benefit from this at all. Because being alive on the earth, it's a form of trauma, I think. you know?
It's not exactly how it's supposed to be.
Right, exactly. We do live east of Eden, and that is where we're at. So there's just things that we go through, and I think if everybody were trained and understood these things, the world would be a much more beautiful place and more compassionate. We would understand. We wouldn't have to suffer.
Yeah, I think that's one of the gifts that comes out of having gone through something and facing it ourselves is we
Hmm.
start to have compassion and just instead of saying we have to stuff it, so they have to stuff it, we're like, wait, no, I can come alongside someone, not taking their burdens on myself, but
Yes.
help them walk those steps towards that healing and give them hope that we don't have to stay stuck in the overwhelm of the trauma or drama. And I
Right.
was also thinking, doing this story work preemptively when you're feeling a little dysregulated or dissociated or unbalanced or unaligned with your body to help get everything connected fully. And
Yeah, totally. I do it all the time because I'm still living on the earth and I still have things that come up and I'm still working through things. And it's just a great way to know if I'm feeling off or a little dysregulated or whatever, I have a practice I can come back to.
that's awesome. So,
Mm,
what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Probably the best way is either on Instagram or on Facebook, just Shelley Henk. That's the easiest. That's where you'll find me. You can shoot me a DM and everything that I'm doing, you'll find it there.
And you do those private 12 weeks or 12 sessions or 12 weeks, however you want to phrase that,
Hmm.
virtually, in person.
Usually most of my work is actually virtually. I do things by application, in person, but most of the things are virtually, and I work with people all over.
And you have a new cohort. So, it's like a group of people that goes through the process together.
It's a 12-week cohort, and then you get a total of 12 months of monthly soul sessions. It's usually on a Saturday. We have like a 2-hour studio time that we meet together, and we do artful story work.
Nice. Sometimes it's really nice to go through it with other people and realize you're not alone.
Oh yeah, there's so much breakthrough that happens in community. I love doing group work. It's my favorite. And the Finding Beautiful School of You is my core offering and sort of the container that holds everything together. I teach my framework is called the 4 elements of wholeness. The 4 elements are feel, heal, dream, and create. We really do a deep dive into kind of what each one of those steps looks like in the healing process to wholeness. And then we use Artful Storywork to work through each one of those core pillars.
Oh, that's great.
Hmm.
Well, thanks again so much, Shelley, for your time today.
I think it's great what you're doing. And I love that people are understanding the power of creativity and that it is such a healer. And I always say, like, art is my medicine, but Christ is my cure. If you're feeling a little off today or whatever, just get a piece of paper and a pencil and go try expressing like we talked about today and just try it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. And looking forward to continuing to follow you on Facebook and Instagram. And you always put really encouraging stuff out there. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for what you do.
Yeah. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
I hope you enjoyed hearing more from Shelley about her personal story and her program offering as much as I did. As we wrap things up today, I just want to encourage you to go back to that body scan art that you made and prayerfully look at it again and ask God where He is in that story, in that message that your body is trying to tell you. And go ahead and visually, creatively add that in, or allow the new message that He's giving to you, the new insight, the new vision of that. Allow yourself to go back and tweak or alter that piece of art. And then maybe do a little bit of journaling about that. Thanks so much for joining us for studio time, and I look forward to the next time we get together to learn to see how art can help us see ourselves and God more clearly, and how He is all about bringing healing to the deepest parts and the biggest wounds in our life.